Hi everyone, this is Heather Lautinen from the Flourish.Academy. This is our weekly Q&A, and my birthday was earlier this week, so yes, it has passed. However, I am still accepting birthday presents through September 30th, as I like to celebrate birthday month. So you can drop those off anytime. I'm glad we cleared this up. Let's dive right into the questions. First is from my friend Nikki. She says, best way to fix banding in photos. And then my friend Val also commented and said, great question. I see it in Lightroom on photos using a backdrop. So what happens, what is banding? If you've not seen it before, you'll typically see it on images maybe with sky or some sort of gradation in the image from a light to a dark that is typically a plain backdrop, or like I said, the sky. You'll see these little lines. It looks like banding. You will rarely to never, okay, it could happen, rarely see this captured in camera. It always happens during the editing process. And whether you're in Lightroom and Photoshop, what can occur is if you are tweaking too many things in your photo, Lightroom and Photoshop at some point cannot determine or calculate the number of colors in between, or in the transitions between one color to the next, and so you'll see this banding. Essentially, you've pushed or pulled the editing too far. How do you prevent this? Well, number one is try to get the best exposure in camera, especially if you have an area that could be prone to banding. For most of us, that would be the sky. If you're a studio photographer, this would be a plain backdrop, a light to a dark. So get the best exposure possible. Then when you're editing, if you get a good exposure, it wouldn't happen. But if you're pushing or pulling too much, Photoshop or Lightroom just cannot read those numbers in between those lines. It appears, okay, that happens. When it does happen, I guess the question is, how do you get rid of it? Well, you can actually add noise back into the image in order to get rid of it. I would typically recommend doing that in Photoshop with layer masks, and you can just go to the filters and add noise, and that will get rid of that banding because you won't have that trouble reading those calculated numbers to see colors. See, Photoshop and Lightroom can only see a certain number of colors, and then after that, it's just out of their range. So, Nikki, in your case, I happen to know that you are an extreme pixel peeper. Yep, it's out there now. So you're also obsessed with ISO. So my guess is what's happening is you'll see a lot of banding if you shoot at an ISO that you're not comfortable with and you try to remove a bunch of noise in Lightroom or Photoshop. When you do that, you're going to see banding. So the funny thing is, I just said, if you want to get rid of it, you have to add noise. Well, in theory, you could remove the noise from the entire image and then just add noise back into the background, or vice versa. You could just remove the noise from your subject using layer masks. So that would definitely help. Hi, Brooke. Thank you so much for saying hello. That means I know that you're there and the comments are working. So if you have a question, you may ask it, but hopefully that helps with banding. It always occurs, almost always occurs during editing, and you can fix it by adding noise back in, and you can avoid it by getting better exposures so you're not having to pull too far in any one direction during your editing process. I hope that helps. My friend Michelle says, how do you go about meeting wedding vendors for the first time, specifically the people in charge of the venue? What questions do they usually ask photographers? What information are they looking for to determine whether they approve of you to photograph there or not? Great question. And what information are they looking for? Do they like you? Do they like you? Do you add value? Do they respect you? All of those sort of soft skills. So my friend Michelle and I were both engineers, so I know she wants data and she wants step by step, but really this is about personality. Okay, that aside, there are ways to work with wedding coordinators that can help you. Now, I have never gone directly to a wedding coordinator for the first time prior to shooting a wedding there. Like, I've not cold called any of them, so I don't really have a system or process for that. However, when I do work with them, so, you need to get into some weddings. I'm glad you're here, Michelle. I know, you're funny. So when you do shoot a wedding and you meet a venue coordinator, obviously you want to go above and beyond to impress her with your professionalism, your work ethic, your ability to step in and help out wherever is needed. And make yourself memorable. So you don't want to be forgettable. You know, Seth Godin always says that in order to be remarkable, it doesn't take much. You just have to do something that causes them to remark about you. Isn't that funny? That's how you're remarkable. Do something that they will remark upon, that's memorable. So you have to make a connection. Now, you are a little bit on the shy and quiet side. I'm assuming you are an engineering introvert, which is okay. You can still do this, but you have to make your presence known, not in an obnoxious manner, but just like, hey, I'm Michelle. What can I do to help you? Here's what's going on. Just be friendly, really, truly. And then immediately following the wedding, get them as many photos as possible in the easiest way possible, because I know you might be thinking, well, doesn't everybody do that? False, negative. No, they don't. They say they will, and it's a great idea, but they don't because they're busy, or maybe they don't care, or they don't see the need in it. So really, it does not take much to be just like a little bit above the bar because people aren't doing it. The way I like to help people is I like to figure out how I can add value. And the only way I know that is to ask them, what do you struggle with right now that I can help you with? Is there any area that I can make your job easier as the photographer? What could I do to make your job easier? So back in the day when I was really going after wedding venues, I created magazines for all of the venues that I really wanted to work at. I showcased their venue, talked about why I loved shooting there, and beautiful images all throughout of just their venue, and then I had stacks of them printed. And then I went to them and I said, hey, I love working here. Here's a stack of magazines. I want you to give a magazine to every bride that comes in to look at your space. Now, I don't care whether she books them or not, because she now has Weddings by Heather in this magazine, all of my photos and my name for their venue. Your job is to make that venue look good, make that coordinator look good, because they will love you forever. This comes down to personality and professionalism and connection relationships, all about building relationships. So meet a few of them and then go after it. Okay, Christine says, do you offer any classes for someone becoming a true tax-paying business? Just became an LLC and I need to know the tax-paying process. Okay, for just a second, I'm going to revise that question. I'm going to rephrase it. Do you offer any classes for someone becoming a true business? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Tons of classes on how to become an awesome business and grow your business. Absolutely. You put that word tax in front of it, I'm out. Forget it. Nope, not happening. Under the strong counsel of my advisors, I have been told not to offer tax-paying advice or insurance type of advice or anything like that, lest you do something wrong and then sue me. Not that you would, but somebody could. So I do not offer tax advice. I always refer you to an accountant that can help you file properly. I can certainly share with you in a mentoring session how I do it, but I would not share that publicly, not because it's a secret, but because somebody would do it and then they would say, well, that's what Heather told me to do. False. Heather did not tell you to do that. I'm just saying this is the way I do it. So you'll definitely want to seek an accountant. Now, I can help you with the whole becoming a true business thing. That's right up my alley. The tax stuff, babe, I'm out. Okay, Mary says, if you only had the following two options, which do you think is better? Okay, first of all, I like the start of that question. I like that. If you only had two options, which would you pick? Oh, because that makes me have to decide. Okay, to blog occasionally, like once every 2 to 3 months, or to not blog at all. I realize the SEO advantage of blogging. However, is there a negative customer experience if the blog isn't necessarily current? I read an article saying to not blog at all if you can't commit to updating regularly. I would kind of agree with that. I am only getting started and don't necessarily have the time or new clientele to blog weekly. Eventually I'd like to get to the ideal, but right now I'm not there. Thanks. I think blogging is essential to your business, and I always have from day one, ever since Blogspot hit the market in 1929. I don't know what year it was. It was a long time ago. But blogging and just showing up regularly shows people that you are in your business, you're working on your business. I agree with that article that you should be consistent, whatever you do. If you can commit to posting once a month, then post once a month. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Surely you can post once a month. I mean, that's only 12 times a year. And by the way, if you can't, then spend one day and schedule out your next 12 blog posts for the rest of the year, and you could be done. Who says those sessions have to be current, like happening right this minute? You can blog about other things as well. I think blogging is critical to your SEO and your success. Okay, critical. I'm exaggerating a little bit because I use hyperbole when I speak, but I do think it's important because people start to trust you because you show up. Now, there are different strategies. Obviously, you can leverage social media. However, I do agree with something you said, which is, or you read in an article, if you are going to blog or not going to blog, don't leave it out there and then have a client come and see that your latest post was from 2015. This happened recently. I have a photographer friend. I went to her website and I clicked on her blog and her latest post was from 2015. Okay, she's dead. I mean, that's what I would think, right? As a client, I'd be like, well, she must have been hit by a bus because she hasn't done anything with her blog. I say at that point, pull it down, yeah, or update it. Or there are ways to remove the dates from your titles and your post links so that they can't see the date. So that's an option as well. If you want to blog and you're not sure how often you're going to get to it, just remove the dates from everything and then nobody would be able to see, oh, your last post was from November of 2015. Hopefully that helps. Brooke says, I was curious how many photographers do a pre-session consult over the phone. Hey, if you're watching this live and you do or do not do a pre-session consult, please comment and say, yes, I do, or no, I don't. She wants to know how many do a pre-session consult over the phone versus communicating just through email. Once I receive an inquiry, I respond with an email that has my pricing, session info attached. I also ask if there is a good time that I can call the client for just a few minutes. Most of my inquiries have several questions, so I feel that a phone call would be better instead of numerous emails back and forth. But I feel like most people don't want to talk on the phone. Ooh, that's me. And they just want to see prices. I don't want them to see it as a sales call. I want to have a genuine conversation about what they need and how I can provide that to them. I do like talking to my clients because I feel like we can either make a connection and build a relationship, which is great, then hopefully they're a client of mine, or not, which is also great because we figure out that we're not a good fit. I do like talking to people, but some people are really busy or they don't want to talk. What I like to do is give them the option, just as you're doing in that email. Attaches all of my information. Let me know when I can call you. I like the way you phrase it too. You don't say like, can I give you a call? You say, let me know when a good time is to reach out because I'd love to chat more and answer your questions. And I think that's a good move. And some people will take you up on it and some people won't. I strongly encourage you that if you can make that phone call happen, you should, because I have found that once I talk to people and we connect, it's like a done deal. They'll book and it's fine. So it becomes, see, here's the thing. If they're just looking at pricing and they're comparing you to other photographers, then it becomes all about pricing, which puts us in a commodity market, race to the bottom, the cheapest wins. I want to step out of that lane and not be just viewed as pricing and commodity, but as a person who can offer value through your photographic experience. Doesn't that sound lofty? I think they would like it. So my approach is going to be try to get them on the phone if you can. It'll be interesting. Hopefully people can comment and let us know, Brooke, whether they do that or not and how it's worked out for them. If you are getting into, now this is pre-client, meaning they're an inquiry but they're not a client. And if you're getting into in-person sales and they become a client, then you absolutely, without question, need a pre-consultation. Absolutely. Okay, the last question I want to address was not posted under these comments, but someone had asked about the number of photos to deliver for a wedding. And you're welcome, Brooke, thank you. And a lot of people chimed in with their numbers, which I think is great. And by the way, it's a personal opinion. I don't care how many images you deliver for your sessions. It's not up to me. You are the boss of you. You can do whatever you want. My approach has always been to deliver the right number that tells the story, documents the event properly, does not include duplicates, not at all, and doesn't overwhelm the client. So I kind of I kind of map out in my brain how I want that to look for my client. For me, photographing weddings for over 14 years, I typically have 8-hour coverage, and I deliver between 400 and 600 images with 2 to 3 shooters on an 8-hour coverage. That's just typical for me. I know some go a little higher and some go a little lower. I would caution anyone about making that number too large. Like my really good friend, who shall remain nameless, who knows who she is, that delivers over 1,000 photos. That's a lot of photos. I really believe that that's overwhelming the client, and chances are there are duplicates in there. Not exact duplicates, but maybe images that are similar. And here's the thing, if you have a set of similar images, maybe you started out with 10 and you narrowed it down to 2 or 3, and then you sat there and you thought, oh, you know what? These 2 or 3 images are really good. I can't decide. I'll just leave them all in. Oh, no, because you just asked your client to do your job. Pick the best. Be decisive. They will appreciate you for it. I think less is more. Now, in terms of portrait sessions, so I know the wedding world very well. My portrait friends are delivering anywhere between 20 and 30 images for a session, upwards of 40. I have delivered that many or more. I know I've overwhelmed clients. I think I may have shared this with you recently, but when I photographed my niece's engagement session, and she doesn't know anything about photography, I asked her, how many photos would you expect from this session? And she looked at her fiance, and they were kind of like, oh, I haven't really thought too much about it. Maybe 15. 15. Good to know. Noted. 15. Okay, anything more than that is going to overwhelm them. So hopefully that helps. Any last minute questions? I'm going to just pull this up here and make sure I grabbed it all. Or you can comment below. Well, there it is. Okay, perfect. I think we're all set. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next video.